goat me most. The goat me most. Phil Spencer, the goat me most. The goat me most. The goat me most.
Yo, what's up, grinders? How you doing out there this evening, this afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you may be? How's everybody doing out there? We are live. Yes, we are live. Yo, what's up, guys? Outside Gaming Night. How you doing, man? The GOAT. Yes, that Phil Spencer, the GOAT emote. There he is. There it is. Phil Spencer, the GOAT. Yes. Yo, I see this new community thing here, the scoreboard thing. That's pretty cool. I see that. Buck Rogers in the lead. Mary Wilcox, number 3. Who's number 2? Who's number 2? Who's my thing? Who's number 2? We got Compost Smurf as number 2. That's pretty cool. You get XP as you chat and super chat in the thing. That's pretty cool. I like it. I like that little scoreboard thing going on there. Now we see it's like a grind the scoreboard going on up there. So hope everybody's doing well. Got a couple of topics today. Obviously, there's a lot going on, man. There's a lot moving on. A lot of things happening. But two things I promised I wanted to talk to everybody on Monday was I found this video, and it's actually the press conference from Brad Smith when he was running around, running his mouth about the ABK deal. And I think it's pretty interesting listening to it and watching it. And we saw the infamous blue PACMAN from there. And then also too, some clouds, some conversation going on there.
One customer.
And again, the motif of this thing will just be the constant promises and hopes and dreams of this trillion-dollar company and how they hit roadblock after roadblock, all to their own doing. And it's kind of been the motif for them, their MO. And I just still do not understand this Rocky Balboa comeback story that everybody keeps wanting for this company, who just continues to just fall flat on their face and lose and be outdone by companies that just show up or somebody that just does it better. And just for example, NVIDIA just released a native app for the Steam Deck for their GeForce Cloud streaming. And people are going crazy about it. A native streaming app for the Steam Deck. So if the Steam Deck can't run these games, you could use your Steam library and play them on NVIDIA's cloud service for a subscription. Obviously, there's ads, there's ad-free, there's 6 hour times. Like there's limitations to their service, but you could play a native streaming app on a Steam Deck natively. You know what's not on Steam? A native app? The Game Pass app, XCloud. Nope. That's not on Steam. They have not made a Linux version of it. And now, NVIDIA now has the cloud presence. And guess what? We'll talk about the ABK deal, but one of the things they signed a 10-year deal with, grinders, was NVIDIA Cloud Streaming. Bringing the Activision games and Xbox's gaming PC library to NVIDIA. Again, stumbling over themselves, tripping over themselves with their own cloud service. Head scratches. And we'll get into it. But yeah, just that right there. Another example. Craziness. They signed a 10-year deal with NVIDIA to put their games on NVIDIA Cloud to support it. And that's the thing that has a Steam native app. So meanwhile, Xbox don't put their app on there. Their xCloud. And I got cloud coverage on here as well. We got to talk about that. Awesome. VIP J942 with the 2. He goes, just saying hi to get us on the way to the goal. Yo, thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, Jay. Thank you so much. And he sent out a VIP membership, grifted one. He gave it out to somebody who got it. Who got it? The Weezard. Yo, Weezard57 got the Gaming Grindhouse VIP. No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Yes, and the goal, yeah, and actually, thank you for bringing up the goal. The goal today is They Suck Again song drop. Oh, you're gonna like this one. Don't make the Ultimate Grinders get to hear this one without you guys hearing it first. But the Ultimate Grinders will get it on their playlist. But yeah, it's a good one. What's up, Ace? How you doing, man? Ash says Xbox belongs to PlayStation now. Oh man, seriously, since the 360 died out of Microsoft has done messed up everything in the gaming space. I know. It's crazy. Mr. Tennis says finally some good competition. Steam will save Xbox. Yeah, right. Yeah, they're in partnership with Steam. Like, they are listen, if you haven't heard it here first, Xbox and Microsoft are chum. They're chumming the water. They're chumming everything. They spent all this money. They got this boatload of product, and they got to off it. They got to get it out. That's the thing. They got to get this thing off. Wait, Outside Gaming Night. Wait till you see the chart that I got. It's wild. But the thing is like, that's what they're doing. Get our games out to as many devices. Try to get some money, whether it's 70%, whether it's 30%, whether it's a bundle with a PlayStation, which is real, by the way. The days of play have started. We have now Monday. Dusty Bin was like, let's see what happens. And guess what? A day later, boom. $50 off the PS5 Pro and a Call of Duty PlayStation 5 console. And this will kick us off into what we're going to go into. A Call of Duty PlayStation 5 bundle cheaper than Booster Series S. Goodness gracious. I never thought we'll see the day. And yeah, let's just highlight one of my tweets, or one of my what the hell's my thing? Where's my profile? There it is. One of my things right here. And hit that like button, grind and share it out. Let them know it's a Thursday. We'll let people know. And yeah, here it is. And this is what I sent out, man. Because it's crazy. The PlayStation 5 digital bundle, $400 with a PS5 and Black Ops 6, and they're selling the OG Series S, no slim version. This is the slim PlayStation, by the way. No slim. Booster Series S 1 terabyte matches the slim, $429. $30 more for no game and the original Series S with a 1 terabyte. No revision. No slim version with a possible upgrade to a disk drive if you want. Nothing. $30 more with no game. And I said here, at Xbox, there is we don't care about consoles. And then there is we really don't care about consoles. And this falls under the we really don't care. And it's a head scratcher. And then I followed up my conversation, my tweet with that. You know, I said that I felt that the CMA and the FTC really gave a lot of suggesting things to Microsoft of spending $80 billion. They thought that they were a much smarter company than what they're actually doing, because they were giving them all like, oh, you're gonna pull Call of Duty and you're not gonna make it there, and they're like, no, we'll just do a 3-year deal, and now we're doing a 10-year deal, and now we're gonna, you know, we're not gonna have we're not gonna have exclusivity any type of Call of Duty, no new skins, nothing like this, no, dude, they didn't even bundle it. The CMA and the FTC were rolling around in all these ideas of what Microsoft could do to leverage spending $80 billion. They're probably sitting there now going, yo, these guys are dopes. Yo, these guys, it's clown college right here. They just spent $80 billion, and not only did they keep things status quo, but they're going out of their way to make their competition shine. They are really going out of it, like they're doing the complete opposite. And I remember during what we're going to review now, what we're going to react to, people were thinking, they were counting down the days of when Sony's marketing was going to stop. They were counting down the days. They're like, oh yeah, oh wait, Sony's marketing ends the end of this year. No more PlayStation bundles. Sony can't market Call of Duty. Last year was the first year that Microsoft owns Call of Duty and that they can market it without Sony having that year. They followed it up by giving Sony the bundle that they always been doing every year. What's up, Henry Heck? How you doing, man? Ron M says the FTC saw the price and was like, keep on digging your own grave, Microsoft. Like 80 billion. Yeah, exactly. FTC is like, yo, we're done with this. They're a bunch of fools out here. Spent $80 billion and, that's a bad investment, dude. It's like, what? And everybody say, oh, well, they get a cut. They get a little nibble. They get 60%. And this, listen, when you go spend $80 billion, nibbles are not going to make that money back. They go spend big money on a big budget movie. They're not looking for residuals, dude. They're looking to put that movie in theaters and get that $20 per head to make that money back. With interest, bitch. They overpaid for Activision. And for the little drop of blood that they got, the Thanos style. The little bit. Little bit's not paying back anybody. Little bit's not doing any of that stuff. You go make a big blockbuster Mission Impossible movie. You're like, you know what? Maybe we'll sell a few DVDs out there and give Best Buy a cut and a few Blu-rays here. Dude, they're like, no. Put it in the theater. Charge them $20 a head. Let's make our money back. We spent tons of money on this movie. We're not waiting to get the 30% from a lot of people. Please. For the amount of money that they spent, $80 billion, you think, oh yeah, we'll get a little nibbles. We increased to 5%. Nibbles. Dude, you get nibbles. Look at Janky Jones and Doom sales. This ain't Doom didn't even crack 1 million. And and they said 3 million plays. They're all sampling it on Game Pass. It came with Nvidia cards or free copies. Microsoft's putting out some games. First off, they're multi-platform games, and they're games that would have came out anyway. Microsoft just put their name on it for $7 billion. I guess that's smart. It's just, the thing is that it seems that they just want to do a rebranding of their name on something that makes something that means something in gaming. It was just a face, a facade. Just put it under our belt. We're not going to do anything to make this worthwhile for us. We're just going to basically just slap our name on it, put a sticker on a box, and just say, look at the data. Look at the data. That's the way they're rolling, man. They're slapping their names on games that were coming out anyway. Starfield, Black Ops, the game, Doom, Elder Scrolls, all these games. Janky Jones. Remember, Janky Jones was announced while Microsoft was acquiring it by Machine Games when Disney was making those publishing deals. Janky Jones was already announced. It was already coming out. And here's the bundle. And now with their increased price, know what I don't hear, grinders? Know what I do not hear? I don't hear tariffs. I thought the Xbox increased its price because of tariffs. How the hell is Sony able to do a sale? Oh, but it's a Days of Play sale. Yeah, they do it every year. But leading up to this thing, Dusty Bin and Shaggy ran outside and they're like, like dude, he jumped in the mystery machine and ran out and got a PlayStation 5 Pro because he was panicking. He thought they were going to increase the price. Instead, Sony is putting a sale. They didn't increase the price and then do a Days of Play. Dude, they did a Days of Play on the low prices that they already had lower than Xbox. So then what was that price increase? Did you hear any podcasts or any people on X talking about, well, wait a second, guys. We were pushing that Microsoft increased their prices because of tariffs. on the headphones and all this other stuff. It was the tariffs. And Sony was going to do it too. And Nintendo too. Nintendo held. And Sony's actually doing a whole week of discounts. $650 for a Pro. Tariffs. What happened? Sony's going to do. Remember, we're always in that. Sony's going to do it too. Sony's going to do it too. But they didn't. So all you guys backtracking now going, yo, maybe it wasn't tariffs. Maybe it's Microsoft needs to sell the less, like they're selling so few consoles that they now increase the price to try to make some money back. Because maybe the little crumbs that they're getting, the 60% and 70% ain't really cutting it. Right? Anybody retracting tariffs? Nope. Because now that Xbox price increase across all their stuff, it's just because they need their money and they need it now. That's why. Their console is not selling. So when it does sell, they got to make their money back on their console. They can't sell it at even, or they need to make more money back on that console because they're selling less of it. And people are not buying from their stores. So that whole subsidized model, they're not buying from their store. Oh, wait. The lovely Sarah Bond is here. She has something to say.
When we launched Game Pass, some people freaked out. They were worried it was going to destroy sales, make it impossible for developers to make money, devalue games.
Sounds about right, Sarah Bond. Ivan O, member of 2 months. He goes, what's up, Jez? Steve Jobs once said that Microsoft has no taste. Yes, he did. He said they were the McDonald's. They have no taste. They have no culture. They have no way to innovate and make people want better. No Cap, what's up, man? Check out Sick. Sick did a long-ass show yesterday. I was listening to it. Check out No Cap's podcast, man. He did his show yesterday. I was listening to it. 4 hours. He was cooking on everything. Let him compete, he says. Oh, shit. He says, let them compete. Yeah, we're going to let them compete right now. Here we go. We're going to go into that video right now as the grinders are piling in on here. Uh-oh, where's my Sati? Where is Sati? Let him compete. Let it run. Let them compete, dude. Let them compete. So, speaking about competition, that price increase, yeah, not looking good for competition-wise. And what's crazy is that you know they're going to do their showcase next week. They're going to... Sony is going to... It has Death Stranding 2 coming out this month. So... this is the time, Summer Games Fest, when all the games are coming out. You know, this is the time when E3 would happen. And this is the time where gaming comes to the forefront and maybe people that don't pay attention to it every day get a whiff. The new games, what games got delayed, what games got canceled, trash EA, canceled Black Panther, but hey, that's EA for you. They're going to make less games. I'm like, you already make less games. What are you doing here? They already make less games. Know why? Because Apex Legends. That's why. Good job. But we got Death Stranding 2 coming this month, and they're starting off the month with a $650 on the PS5 Pro, $400 for a Slim, headphones on sale, games on sale, big games coming for Days of Play and the subscriptions, renewals and upgrades at a discount for upgrading to PlayStation Plus Extra, whatever the hell they call it. I have no clue what the hell they call it anymore. But upgrading to those and dropping a bunch of games in there. Ass and Bones, or Bones and Skulls. It's Skull and Bones, that one, which that's pretty ass. But anyway, but they're dropping a bunch of games in there, and they got a bunch of games coming later in the month. And it's kind of like everything's looking at the gaming industry. And Microsoft has their show. And you would think that they would maybe drop a price. Maybe they do a price discount next week. But This is when everybody's talking about games, and you got this situation right now hitting this week. So I don't understand Microsoft's positioning in this, but they really don't care. And the head scratcher as we move on to where Brad Smith is going to talk, and we'll react to it. But as we go on, the thing is it does not take a lot of effort for them to just put Call of Duty in their own console box. Like, why wouldn't they do that? You know, Phil Spencer said to Shaggy,
Black Ops 6 Day 1 Game Pass.
Black Ops
a
6,
choice, right? Some
Like,
choice.
Some people said I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, most people in this room have probably been used to
Said it was a
spending 60, 70 bucks on it every year. Now, if they're already subscribing to Game Pass,
And
good to go.
But it's a choice. Like, we didn't say to anybody, you have to subscribe to play. If you want to buy Black Ops, it's great. It's great for us. It's great for the developer. If you want to subscribe, it's also great. Like,
So where's the choice, Phil? Where's Xbox's choice? Sony gets a nice choice. Where's your choice? But Yatsu, it's on Game Pass, exactly. But that don't sound like a choice, right? Shig, you're sitting there and you know, dropping the things like zoinks, right? It's a choice. Well, where's the Xbox's choice? You're trying to build a platform. Why? It sounds like you're funneling people then on Xbox the way to get Call of Duties through Game Pass. Because I'm not giving you a bundle choice. Maybe people don't want to buy an Xbox and subscribe. Maybe people just want to buy a Xbox and play Call of Duty. Huh? Yeah. And if it's good for PlayStation, why isn't it good for your console? Where is your Series X bundle with Call of Duty? You increased the price. Don't you think? Throw them a bone. Same price, Call of Duty's in the box. Something. But to be oblivious and just to let Sony run with a quote exclusive time of a PlayStation Black Ops 6 bundle, and your Xbox in its original state sits on store shelves with a higher price and no game, and a game that you own and paid $80 billion for, you can't just throw it in your box? Where is the choice that you said? Like I said before, this is their choice. They manipulate viewers and fans to believe they're giving you a choice, but there really is no choice. They know what path they want to walk you down. Like I've given the example of a restaurant where the whole meal of a hot dog, a soda, and a fry is $8. But then the other one is the $8 just gives you the hot dog. And you're like, but there's a choice here. There's two choices. There's the meal for $8 or just a hot dog for $8. It's a choice. You know damn well what people are going to choose. You made it that way. People are going to get the whole thing for $8. Even if they're not hungry, they'll give the fries to somebody else. It's the illusion of choice. But you know what path you want them to go down. The best value in gaming. How's that the best value when there's no game? So tell me the choice that you're giving people. It's a fool's choice. And this is why people need to be more vocal about why can't they just do a bundle for Xbox? Like, where is it? It makes no sense. You spent $80 billion in court. And we're going to go over the video now to show you how hard they fought for this. This is what we're at. Let's go see how hard they fought to compete, to say we want more market share than PlayStation. We are we are the PACMAN, Blue PACMAN. Dude flew out to Paris. This is how hard they did for $80 billion. He needs a goddamn intro song.
Grab your control.
Get in there, Brad Smith.
Time to compete. Xbox, take your seat. We're always last in the race, and we will always be beat. Then we'll spend more cash, make ourselves.
Hit him with the horns, Groban.
complete. Let's start by bringing Penniman. Sea of Thieves, Hi-Fi, Russian grounded games over to PlayStation and Switch. And we will say that exclusives don't matter anymore. And then wait when we get Starfield ready for the pitch. Big Booty Bobby and Lulu walked out with the bag, and now we're left with all these IPs. What the hell are we supposed to do?
Boom. Now, this is what this dude said. He flew out to there. Now let's see.
It's been an important day for us at Microsoft and for our friends at Activision Blizzard here in Brussels. As you all know, there's been an important hearing today before the European Commission. I'm not in a position to describe exactly what was said, but I think I can capture some of what makes today so important.
Look at all that behind him. $80 billion.
We started the morning, as you know, with a new announcement. We announced that Microsoft had reached a binding 10-year definitive legal agreement with Nintendo, an agreement that builds on the other Xbox games we have been making available, an agreement that obligates Microsoft for the next 10 years to make Call of Duty available for Nintendo and its Switch devices.
There it is, the 10-year deal. Signed 10 years with Nintendo. 10 years. We haven't seen the first Nintendo game yet. Maybe this year. The Switch 2. Well, maybe it's a backlog. Who knows? What's up, Buki? Talk that ish. Dog, the Grindhounds. 10 years. He said. Hit him with the 10. A binding agreement.
That was how we began the day.
That's how he began the day. Please let us spend $80 billion.
This evening, we have another agreement to announce, and in some ways, I think perhaps it might even be a little more important still.
Bigger one.
Because as you know, we had a letter of intent that we announced with Nintendo late last year. This evening, we're announcing an agreement with NVIDIA. NVIDIA has people here. We have a press release we'll provide you with as you leave, though their representatives will be in a position to answer questions as well. Why is NVIDIA important? Because as you've been hearing, this acquisition of Activision Blizzard is not only about bringing Call of Duty into the future with console gaming, but it's also about Microsoft's opportunity to help build a better cross-platform future for everyone in gaming. And NVIDIA plays an important role. NVIDIA's GeForce Now cloud gaming service already has more than 25 million users. In fact,
how much does XCloud have? Because NVIDIA Cloud was your competition. How much is XCloud? How much is Game Pass? Excuse me. How's your XCloud doing?
Gaming.
So notice how I just said about how they spent, the NVIDIA Cloud just went on Steam Deck, right? This was the time they spent 10. Now they made another agreement with their cloud competition. NVIDIA Cloud. And by the way, as we continue with this, have you seen him mention anything about gaming? Has he been on any interviews? Have done anything? Dude, he's running around now talking about AI. He's done with this. He's their lead bullshitter. They send him out to do all the bull. Exactly. Robert Max, Xbox all over, cheering Xbox handheld. They spent $80 billion on publishers. Exactly. Now he signed with NVIDIA. So Nintendo, you got 10 years. So is it bundled? So what I don't understand is that Call of Duty bundle, like, is that a part of the 10-year deal? I have no clue.
They already reach Chromebooks. They reach MacBooks. They reach a wide variety of other devices. And what we have done in this agreement with NVIDIA is twofold. First, effective right away, Microsoft will be bringing its Xbox games that play on PCs to NVIDIA's GeForce Now cloud streaming service. And in addition, if this acquisition is approved, we will also bring all of Activision Blizzard's titles, including Call of Duty, to GeForce Now as well.
So no need for Game Pass. No need. What's up, Lucci? How you doing, man? No need for Game Pass. No need for xCloud. They sold it out, dude.
That is significant because now we're addressing the full range of issues that have been raised by regulators as topics of not just interest, but in some
There's
cases
Blue PACMAN.
concern. And I think it gives us the opportunity to step back, if you will, and look at what this acquisition means for the future of gaming. For us,
The future of gaming, not Microsoft. The future of gaming. So was Activision not wanting to put their game on NVIDIA Cloud? Look at how they leveraged Call of Duty in this whole thing. Basically, they gutted everything. It makes $80 billion, dude. For what? Like I said, they didn't even keep the status quo. They're making it better for other people. It is crazy.
us at Microsoft, this has never been about spending $69 billion so that we could acquire titles like Call of Duty and make them less available to people. That's actually not a great way to turn a $69 billion asset into something that will become more valuable over time.
Well, that's pretty interesting, Mr. Brad, because you are basically not giving it to your own console owners. You're bringing Call of Duty to PlayStation, but you're not giving a bundle for your own console. So you are taking it away. You have not, you spent $78 billion and you still have not bundled Call of Duty with your own platform. So what do you mean you're giving it to more people? What about the choice? That's what I said. This is, we don't care. Dude, they really don't care. Like the console, the Xbox console, the thing that even brought them to the gaming conversation is now the appendage. It is the vestigial organ that needs to be severed. And they are doing everything in their damnedest to sever the hell out of the Xbox console. That's the thing. And what's crazy is now he goes over to Blue PACMAN and talk about how the PlayStation dominates and this will make them be better. Goodness gracious, goodness gracious.
To the contrary, since day one, we have been focused on one thing: using this acquisition to bring more games to more people on more platforms and devices than ever before, to bring more competition into gaming than ever before.
More competition into gaming. Who are you competing with? Everybody is destroying you. We're going to go where cloud is. SteamOS, NVIDIA Cloud, PlayStation, Nintendo, everywhere. What competition? You're putting your stuff on their platform. Who are you competing with? Let us compete with who? Who? Who are you competing with? What competition exactly? Who? EA? Ubisoft? Is that who you're competing with? That's the competition? Amazon? Ooh, you gonna sell toilet paper? Who are you competing with? Who's your competition? You keep changing. Amazon was your competition, and Google Stadia was your competition, and their competition. PlayStation's not competition anymore. Oh, well, PlayStation's not competition anymore. So let's go over to Blue PACMAN. Like, this is their you're right, their marketing is trash, their message sucks, because who are they competing with? They're taking Activision multi-platform games and they're keeping them multi-platform. How do you compete? What competition? Against who? EA, who's making less games now? Ubisoft, who's in a gutter, and then you sold your assets, cloud assets, to Ubisoft. So Ubisoft is not competition because they license your Call of Duty in cloud outside of the US. You had to do that to satisfy the CMA. So Ubisoft is not competition. They're part of your plan. Who are you competing with? Steam? Epic Store? Call of Duty's already on Steam. What are you doing? And this is the problem. They suck. They're getting stomped out every which way they go. They go to cloud, boom, you suck. You're going to Windows PC handhelds, SteamOS is destroying you right now. And the Steam Deck already has the market share. And now they're putting that operating system on all the devices that you got these OEMs making, and your operating system sucks. And the one thing you can't do, guess what, on SteamOS, is play Xbox Game Pass. Your platform. Your lifeblood. The only thing that you think you got. SteamOS goes on these devices. There goes Xbox Game Pass. And you want to know what? Here's another Grindadamas prediction. I guarantee you by the end of this year, or early, definitely within the year, there will be an Xbox Game Pass for Steam OS. Because they will not be able to run Game Pass. Because what's going to happen is now that Steam OS is going on these handhelds, and they are making the hardware look better, play better, have better battery life, better performance, and Windows bogs it all down, these OEMs and customers, and for a cheaper price, will be buying Steam OS. And Steam will be taking over the handheld market as it already has. And guess what Microsoft can do now? They can't compete. So what are they going to do? Make an Xbox app for Steam. Just like Nvidia did. And that's the way they try to stay alive. They leech off of the success of people who have beaten them. Hence why PlayStation is getting Xbox games. And that's the last thing you do. You try to just befriend your competition in hopes that you could tag along for the ride. But be mindful that they were your competition. And they won't forget. Just like you're fighting Apple. Be our friend. Put us in your store. Well, go ahead. You fight tooth and nail to get Apple to put you in your store. Apple going to put you on page 5, bitch. They're going to take your app and put you on page 6. Next to the worst selling games ever. You want to be in our store? Yeah, okay. You fought to be in my store? I'll see you on page 6. Next to Panda Pops. A bootleg Panda Pop. That's where you're going. Now you're in my store, but you're on page 6, and we're not promoting your stuff. You want to promote your app? You got to pay me. That's why the leech mentality of Satya being a friggin' leech, they're already sucking AI too. Everybody, AI competitions all over the place. Look, they just grok. They Gronk, whatever the hell the thing is. They had a partner with, what's his name? Because it was better than ChatGPT, like better than their friggin' Copilot. Copilot sucks ass. They repurposed the Copilot button. Every which way you go, they fail. But they are the loudest talker, the biggest spender, and wasting time. And I don't want them to ruin gaming. And by the way, if you haven't seen them, just to kind of go on to, they make everything better, $80 billion. Call of Duty just had an update for new season with season 3 in Warzone and Verdansk back in April. Since then, season 3 reloaded, and now season 4 have introduced so many bugs, game crashes, and more. Back to the same rough updates. Good job. Let's hear again how you needed to spend $80 billion to make things better. I'm convinced This whole thing happened just to pay off Bobby Kotick. That's it. That's the only person that benefited from this. Bobby Kotick cashed out, and our good friend Lulu, the heads of Activision, cashed out. Big Booty Bobby was getting fired, dude. They were picketing outside of Activision to fire his ass for all the grab assing going on over at Blizzard. And meanwhile, that dude cashed out and now cruising. He's like, you. And Microsoft dealt now with all this IP. Shit's failing. They're trying to keep the lights on, but the problem is that this is not just Minecraft. This is a whole ass publishers. Look at the Doom. Doom is not success. Doom did not do what it needed to do. Avowed, their purchases are not yielding the results. Hence why Game Pass growth stagnated, and they need to sell games on competition because that is their last ditch effort. But they sat here and begged to spend $80 billion, and they needed competition. Donnell, don't start. Remember, 27 months, he goes, hey, brother, how you doing? Hope you're good. How about them Knicks? LOL. Dude, tonight is it. And even if they win tonight, I don't know, man. Yo, it's rough. It's rough, man. It's rough. You see them win, then they lose. There you go. Mr. B's Platinum Knit training in this weekend. I've been playing Doom. Like I said, and there's a rumor, yeah, that's so less than 1 million sales. But let's hear more about this competition now, because he's going to leverage NVIDIA and Switch as competition. He was already, and this is the crazy thing, he's going to walk over to the 150 million. Dude, he's already counting. They didn't even put the game on the Switch, and apparently they never even told Activision or Infinity Ward that they were going to make a Switch version. They didn't even own the company yet, but committed a Switch version that Activision had never made, regardless of how popular the Switch was. Activision still never decided to do it. Like, Microsoft did not make them capable of doing it. Microsoft just used Nintendo and NVIDIA for the number. And what's crazy is they did nothing. Call of Duty is not even on a Switch, but they used this stage in February 21st, 2 years ago. Or a year ago. What was it? A year ago? 2 years ago? When was this? 2 years ago. 2 years ago. Counting the numbers of the Switch install base. Exactly, Captain.
And so what?
Listen to this. Fall out of your chair. They counted the numbers. They didn't do shit 2 years ago. 2 years, I still don't have a Switch game.
We're announcing today is in fact true to the roots of the very first day when we announced this acquisition 13 months ago.
13 months ago, they announced the acquisition. 2 years later, the dude had a speech. It was 4 years fighting for this shit.
As many of you know, it's been 13 fairly eventful months in terms of the work that we've had to do to talk to people around the world about this deal. And while I'm not in a position to say exactly what was said in the hearing room, I think there are a few facts that are important to recognize. First, to think about where people stand as they've set forth their point of view about this deal. The European Game Developers Federation has endorsed this deal. They represent more than 2,000 gaming studios across Europe.
Remember Brazil? They endorsed the deal too, and now Microsoft's pulling out of Brazil fast enough than a caipirinha. Holy shit, no abrigato. They're pulling out of goddamn Brazil so fast, and meanwhile Brazil's like, yeah, this is great. Let them buy Activision. Meanwhile, you can't even get a console in Brazil anymore. They pulled out of there so fast.
This is the voice of Europe's
now obrigado
studios, and they stand by our side to advance this deal, in part because they, like us, see the future as cross-platform. Second,
it is already cross-platform. Call of Duty is already cross-platform. Activision made games for Nintendo. Like, What the hell was he proposing here? This is what I mean. It's like a construction worker coming up to a brand new house and going, you know what? I got to build this house. It's like, dude, the house is built already. Nah, man, I got to build this house. I got to build it. What are you looking at? The house is built. What do you? No. I'll spend money. I'm going to make it better. I'm going to make I'm going to make this a better strategy. Dude, it's built. You're not taking a company that is like in the dumpsters and it's like they have no money, they can't make anything, and we're gonna make them make more games, dude. They're already there. What are you bringing it to more people? They made business decisions because like who said it? John Wayne, goddamn the John Wayne said Nintendo don't care about Call of Duty. That's why they made that. They spent their time and money to put it on the Switch or on the Wii U, and nobody bought it. So they said, you know what? Yeah, weak-ass hardware, holding us back. Yeah, we're not going to do it. Not financially feasible for us. Oh, NVIDIA Cloud? No. Why would I let people stream my game on other platforms where they could buy my game? Why would I let NVIDIA make money on my game to be streamed on other platforms when I could sell that where my game exists to be purchased? Financially, that is stupid. Why would I do that? They were plenty capable of doing it, but it wasn't in their business. You're not coming in here and doing anything. You're not smart. You're doing stupid, dumb stuff like this. Dumb things here. You're doing dumb things. That's what you're doing. Things that are head scratches. That's what I said. Putting bundles with play. I was like, where's your console bundle? Where's the Switch version? Where are you at Switch 2 launch? Why is Call of Duty not the Switch 2? Nintendo signed a 10-year agreement 2 years ago. We're already 8 years in. When does the 10 years start? Grinders, do you have an idea? Well, on this day, February 21st, actually, they signed it before that, at the end of the year before. So, 2022. There was 24, 25, to like end of 2022, 23, they signed the deal for 10 years. What? Dude, they signed a 10-year agreement 3 years ago. Well, we're going on year 7. Where's the Call of Duty? When does the 10 years start? Does it start this year? When does it start? They still haven't put Call of Duty on the Switch. Not even the old Call of Duties. Nintendo signed the thing 2 years ago. If I signed the deal, but yo, what's going on? Exactly, Josh. 1/5 of the deal is done. They still haven't put a game on there, but this dude's gonna count the numbers. Wait, he didn't count the numbers. What'd you send me? So I'll check it. I'll check it out there. Hit that like button, grinders. Yo, this dude be counting the numbers. Yeah, keep going. I gotta keep hearing them.
The voice of employees in UNI, an employment labor organization, has similarly endorsed this deal.
Oh man, a labor organization. All they did was fire people ever since they bought Activision. They've been laying people off left and right. But the labor, dude, it just shows the ignorance of all these people. Microsoft probably had goddamn stakeholders in all these places, just like they had the judge bought. Her son worked for friggin' Microsoft. Dude, they probably had plants in all these places. They're like, oh, yo, we'll give you political bullshit. I'm sure they did. Though the labor unions approved of the labor. You've been firing people for the last 2 years. All layoffs. And, you've been firing people. You shut down Blizzard. You're shutting down shit, everything. What do you mean they approved? Oh, man, I got to hear that again.
Has similarly endorsed this deal of employees in UNI, an employment labor organization, has similarly endorsed this deal.
The labor
they put an announcement out as recently as yesterday.
The labor union, oh shit. Well, the labor union, they're fucking firing everybody. Oh shit.
Third, if you look at every agency around the world that has surveyed consumers, consumers have said by a substantial margin that they support this deal. If you listen to what Valve, the world's largest game store for PCs, has said, they've said they support this deal. And now NVIDIA says that it supports this deal as well. And I think we all stand together because we really do see increasingly a stark choice for the regulators of the world. It's really a question of whether they want to block this deal or approve it with a set of guardrails.
Man, yo, I just saw Lunci's thing. Yo, this breaking news, Grinders, you're going to love that you got this live because we're going to roast right into this one after this reaction. Wow. What breaking news this is. Oh, shit. Yo, Grindadamus. That's all I got to say is Grindadamus. I told you it was over before it even started. Exactly. You don't need sources to figure this stuff out. Yo, man, get ready. Oh, yo, shout out to, yo, guys. I got shout out to 2 grinders here. See Fresh and Lunchi, man. Yo, we're going to go into this. Yo, we're going to cook. Hit that like button, grinders. We're going. I'm in another hour to our goal. We got to keep going here. Let's keep hearing this clown.
Remedies with conditions. And as we've said since the earliest days of this deal, just as we're comfortable, indeed even eager, to enter into private agreements that will have binding legal effect for a decade, we're also more than prepared to address the questions that people may have with regulatory undertakings as well. But think about the alternative that now exists. On the one hand, regulators can choose if they want to try to block the deal, something that the Federal Trade Commission acted late last year to do. But think about the market. Think about the market in Europe. Think about the market that the Federal Trade Commission defined and what it would mean here in Europe. It is a market in which Sony has an 80% share. Xbox has 20% share. Globally, it's about 70-30. In Japan, it's 96-4.
Oh, man, you needed to see... Brad Smith, you would have been more affected if you just had this little clip to play.
Oh, no! We suck again!
There you go. That's more like it. That's what you need right there. You suck everywhere. But I do. So is that your competition?
And while there are some fluctuations over time, these numbers have been remarkably steady for 2 decades.
Holy shit, dude! Yo, Xbox fans, where's the W? Two decades! He said we sucked again! Fucking 2 decades!
Sir, do we get to win this time?
Yo, he just said 2 decades it's been.
Bass is fucking raw! Shit! Raw! Raw chicken!
It's raw,
Raw
fucking
Pac-Man!
raw.
They look raw! Raw, Carol! Fucking raw! Raw!
Fuck off. And by the way, it's raw.
Dude, he going back to 20. Yo, he's going back to 20 years. Dude, that's the entire Xbox existence. It's been like Blue Pac-Man has been there for over 20. Yo, what? He's at 20 goddamn years. He's like, we suck for 20 years. But we are going to save gaming. You suck. How can somebody with 20%, 6% in Japan going to bring games to more people? Like, the contradiction here is ridiculous. You are a Blue Pac-Man. You are the ass of a Blue Pac-Man.
And while there are some fluctuations,
you are the ass of a Blue Pac-Man. Why in the hell would you... Why would I think, yo, wait a second, dude. And why are you acting like Call of Duty isn't on the 80% of PlayStation? Because now it seems like we're talking about competition. Now it seems like we're talking about competition. Call of Duty is on the 80%. It's on the green too. This is meaningless because Call of Duty is on everything. All Activision games are on the whole circle. So what is buying this company going to do to this circle? What is it going to do to your 96% or whatever to Japan? And 2 decades worth of being ass.
For 6 years, I taught you how to go for the W. You could have been one of the greats. And now look at yourself. You're not even a has-been. You're a never was.
He suck again for 2 decades.
Oh, no! We suck again!
to 4. And while there are some...
Wait, I want to hear those numbers again.
80%.
Microsoft don't share numbers. This is the first time this is when they shared the numbers, how they suck so bad.
Share. Xbox had in mind what it would mean here in Europe. It is a market in which Sony has an 80% share. Xbox has 20% share. Globally, it's about 70-30. In Japan, it's 96-4. And while there are some fluctuations over time, these numbers have been remarkably steady for 2 decades. Even last year, when Sony suffered constraints in its supply chain and it saw its numbers dip, they came back strong in the fourth quarter as their supply chain recovered. By our calculation on a global basis, Sony outsold Microsoft in the fourth quarter by a margin of 69-31, pretty much consistent with the global market shares we've seen for 20 years.
Fucking sirens! Oh, man. No wonder Sati was stuttering. They be getting friggin' slammed.
Oh no! We suck again! Oh no! We suck again!
Yo, they getting friggin' slammed. Even he said when Sony was down and out in constraints. Why hasn't any Xbox podcast played the videos? Like they championed this deal for so long. Why wouldn't they revisit this though? Going, guys, we got bamboozled. We got screwed. We got screwed and bamboozled and hoodwinked and digital foundried. Yo, he's like, even when I gotta hear this again. Even when Sony was when they had no supply, we still lost. Oh shit, Phil.
Gaming.
20 years. For 20 years, I told you I'd go for the W.
For 6 years.
20 years.
I taught you how to go for the W. You could have been one of the greats. And now look at yourself. You're not even a has-been. You're a never was.
Never was. I gotta hear it again.
69 last year, when Sony suffered 2 decades. Even last year, when Sony suffered constraints in its supply chain and it saw its numbers dip, they came back strong in the fourth quarter as their supply chain recovered. By our calculation on a global basis, Sony outsold Microsoft in the fourth quarter by a margin of 69-31, pretty much consistent with the global market shares we've seen for 20 years. Sony, like the regulators, has an alternative as well. It can either do a deal with Microsoft or argue that this deal should be blocked. We understand in some ways it can be tempting when you have an 80% share to just hope that the future never arrives. To hold on as long as possible to a...
Bootleg! There's bootleg in the front. There he is. There's cardigans. There's bootleg and there's the 2 of them in the front. There's what's his name? From friggin' The Verge. Bootleg, get on that. You're right. You were right there. Bootleg, you were right there. Oh, shit. It was right there. Yo, what's going on over here? We know what's going on. What's happening, Grinders? I know what's going on. Do you know what's going on? I know what's going on. There it is. They're in that front row right there. They're in the front row. They got a front row seat to the failures. They had a front row seat to the failures. Oh, man, not like this. Not like this. We know what's going on here. Yo, they've been in the front again. They're in the first glazed row.
Juicy, juicy,
oh, shit.
juicy, glaze, double glazed blackberries on top of Janky Jones. Pancake, shake my head, Xbox marketing.
Oh, shit. That's the glazed row in the front. Oh, damn.
Double glazed blackberries on top of Janky Jones pancakes. Shake my head, Xbox marketing. Can you see juice?
Yo. wild.
Juicy, juicy, glad, 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 glaze, glaze, double glazed blackberries.
Yo, that whole first row, man. That he just said that Sony been dominating them for 20 years, and then like, what are they? That whole front row
should be blocked. We understand in some ways it can be tempting when you have an 80% share to just hope that the future never arrives.
And you know what else is crazy? Is that sounds exactly like competition. It sounds like you want to buy the $80 billion so that you could stop Sony from being the blue Pac-Man. So wait, but you're bringing games to, like, why are you acting? That's why this whole thing was a facade. And dude, it is hilarious watching now what they're doing now and scrambling. Dude, that whole front row there. That whole front row, the glazed front row, dude. Grinders, hit the like button.
That the future never arrives.
That whole front row will be like this. That whole front row is like this. Oh shit!
Juicy, juicy,
oh no, that whole front row! No! The front row!
On top of janky
Oh, the whole glazed front row!
Shake my head, Xbox marketing.
This blue Pac-Man. Front row, you fucking glazed. They're like, wait, did he just say we got our ass kicked for 22 decades? He's like, that's my whole job right there.
To hold on as long as possible to a current market share, to hope that that future that, as European game developers have said, is cross-platform, doesn't come until a later date.
Really, man, that sounds like you're ready to roast some Sony ass. That's what that sounds like. Dude, that sounds like you want to roast Sony's ass, because all of a sudden you went from this Dalai Lama of gaming. Oh, we're bringing games with Nintendo and Nvidia. We're here to bring more games to more people. Then now you go on this thing talking about how Sony is dominating your ass and how they just want to keep the status quo, but we need to fight back. Well, wait a second. What happened to you bringing games to everybody? First off, Sony already got all those games. So you're not bringing shit to nobody. So I don't understand. All of a sudden now we're talking about getting our ass rammed for the goddamn 20 years. We suck.
That future that, as European game developers have said, is cross-platform, doesn't come until a later date.
He's saying that Sony doesn't want to wait for the inevitable change. This is what's crazy. This dude going around saying that this deal was going to fix them. And meanwhile, that's what's so crazy, Grinders. They went out there and they're doing this. They're doing a friggin' Call of Duty bundle. Does this sound like a man that was going to make a Call of Duty bundle exclusively for PlayStation for Blue Pac-Man? In the words he's saying right now, we got dominated for 20 years. It's 96-4. In Japan and 70-30 globally for 20 years, even when Sony sucked. Even when Sony sucked, they still outsold us 69-31. Did this sound like the strategy 2 years later? We're just going to put Call of Duty in the PlayStation box? Yo.
That, as European game developers have said, is cross-platform, doesn't come until a later date. But I don't think that's what regulators are in the business of doing. They're not here to protect super dominant companies. Believe me, I know. I've come to Brussels, as some of you know, for many years, for many hearings, and it never occurred to me to suggest that a company with such a large market share needed to be protected by smaller firms in a market as they sought to grow.
Yo, this dude.
But think about this market that exists today. It has about 120 million consoles, PlayStation and Xbox combined. And now think.
Whoa. What about the Switch? Wait a second. Why is it only why is the Switch not in there?
Think about what we did today, between this morning and this evening, between Nintendo and NVIDIA.
Nintendo goes on that list. See, well, what happened to the red part of that list? Sir, Phil, what happened to, why is Nintendo not a console? What happened? Phil, answer the question. I'm asking the hard question. I'm Dusty Bin.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'd have to go back and look at the,
Well, but Phil, Nintendo, oh, but wait a second. Nintendo's not, he just said that the Nintendo's not a console.
Day, between this morning and this evening, between Nintendo and NVIDIA, we are bringing Call of Duty to 150 million more people, to 150 million devices that don't have access to Call of Duty today.
What? Switch still doesn't have Call of Duty. This dude was counting. First off, wait a second. First off, he said that the NVIDIA cloud service. All right. So let's just put this in perspective here. The NVIDIA cloud service, which hosts games from purchases that you made on Steam. You don't buy the games from NVIDIA. NVIDIA cloud streaming is an access portal. They are not a console. They're not a own. They is a platform. You bought the game on Steam. If you buy it in NVIDIA, you get the Steam code. So they are, and he said that there are only 25 million. So he's counting 125 million Switches 2 years ago that are going to get Call of Duty. They still don't have it to this day. We're already 1/5 of the deal in. We're already almost 3 years into the 10-year deal. What is he going to do? A Call of Duty's coming. We said 10 years, but we meant the back end.
That is a future where competition flourishes, where innovation moves forward.
What are you talking about? If you go look at that chart and you put Nintendo on that chart, that's the reason why Nintendo wasn't on that chart. Because Nintendo would be bigger circle than PlayStation. Nintendo would be just as big as the PlayStation circle. So therefore, you're not bringing competition to the area because the Switch already has beaten both of them. Like, that's the crazy part. You act like the Switch was the little guy and you're saving the little guy. Dude, you suck. And still to this day, Switch don't even have a Call of Duty.
One of the things that we recognize here in Brussels is the importance of the European Commission. As some of you know, I've been coming here.
And then he goes on to this thing. I don't want to hear this thing.
If you want to write a document in Microsoft Word,
this is the part I want to show. Here it is.
That's what it will take to grow this market further. Systems like Chrome OS. And for Chrome,
let's go with this part.
That will ensure that Call of Duty and other games remain available in the cloud and even on alternative operating systems like Chrome OS and for Chromebooks. We came to Brussels more than prepared to roll up our sleeves and make that kind of solution work because we know that that's what it will take to grow this market further. We haven't yet reached an agreement with Sony. I hope we will. I walk around with an envelope that contains the definitive agreement that we sent to Sony 2 days before Christmas. I'm ready to sign it at any time. And if Sony doesn't like the words, we're ready to sit down and pull out a pen or a version of Microsoft Word and its cut and paste features. We know that advances in everything in life require dialogue. We're committed to that. We're committed to that with the European Commission. We're committed to that with other regulators around the world. We're committed to that with other companies in our industry. We're committed to that with Sony itself. And I hope and believe that this is a day, like many other days that I've spent in Brussels.
That's the 10-year deal.
Will advance our industry and regulation in a responsible way.
He walking around with the goddamn tramp stamp, sign here, Phil, please.
I mean, I don't know.
Dude, all he just wanted to do, man, all he wanted to do was just, he's just walking around going, Sony's walking around, dude. What dialogue? What to do this? Like, was that part of the deal? A Call of Duty bundle? Like, was that in the signature? Like, this is what's crazy. They made Sony look so dominant and them look so weak that they thought that they were saving the industry. This is what I don't understand. Saving who? Dude, he went out there going, I got the deal right here. Let's sign it. That's right. He tried to sell you goddamn Microsoft Office. Cut and paste features in Microsoft Office. Hit that like button, grinders. Wild. Wild. And they gave them the whole deal. 10 years. This don't look like a 10-year deal. I don't think, like I said, I didn't even think Microsoft was going to be around in 10 years. With the Xbox, I mean. Xbox going to be around in 10 years? Dude, I think they're going to wrap up production of the console next year. The hell. Hint, hint. But while we get into that one, grinders, like look at this. So they basically doing that deal. He's running around with this deal. And then what's crazy is look at this. This is game availability and growth over time. So this is from a cloud dosage news and info. I thought this was pretty wild. Look at this. Again, they're the little guy. They thought that they're going to save gaming. This is what I don't understand. They lead from the ass. They walk backwards. The ass comes first, and you go, who's this? Oh, his head's coming in the rest. They lead ass first. They suck. And what's crazy, it just shows you that they did not know what the hell they wanted to do with this deal. They went from, we're bringing games to all these people, to look, Sony's dominating, and they don't want us to, they don't want us to shake up the cuckoo's nest. Listen, Sony was saving your ass, because right after you signed that deal, the stockholders came crashing in and said, dude, we want our money back. And guess what? Shit hit the fan and all bets were off. And they said, sell, sell, sell. That shows that they had no idea. That's why this clown hasn't spoke about gaming or anything. Did anybody ask him in an interview 2 years later, hey, Brad, how's Call of Duty on the Switch? You know, that deal that you signed. They signed it the holiday before the 2 years ago. What was that, 2022? The end of 2022, Nintendo signed a 10-year agreement. We are now in the middle of 2025 and no Call of Duty on Switch announced at all. Is it going to happen this month? It better. You're already 2 years in. Did the 10 years start this year? But anyway, they're the little guy. They suck. And there's a reason why. It's because they didn't release any games. They had no studios. They spent $7 billion on ZeniMax for not even a growth. Look at this chart. Grinders, GeForce Now. Tell me, oh, we're partnering with GeForce Now. Yeah, look where GeForce Now is. How many games are on GeForce Now? Where are you? Oh, the orange line. Hey, Xbox.
Hey, Ron.
Where are you?
Where is Ron right now?
PlayStation Cloud. Look how many games are available on PlayStation Cloud. Dude, they're up there with GeForce. That's the next place that you're going to see Xbox games go. You're going to start seeing Xbox games get put into PlayStation Plus, I'm sure. That's the next step because they suck. We're going to see an Xbox app on Steam for Game Pass, and we're going to see Xbox games get rolled into PlayStation Essentials. I'm telling you, that's the next step because look where they are. They are down here, and look at where they're at. I never thought about it, Grinders, but my favorite, they're a watcher of the Gaming Grindhouse. They don't sponsor the show, but BLACKNUT Cloud has more games available than Xbox. BLACKNUT beats Xbox.
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
It is a Memorial Day, right? This is craziness. Boosteroid. BLACKNUT has more games than Xbox does. BLACKNUT.
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
Where's my applause? BLACKNUT. I knew. I told you, BLACKNUT You don't mess with BLACKNUT. You don't mess with BLACKNUT. Xbox is so bad, they're looking up at BLACKNUT. Oh, shit!
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
They got BLACKNUT dangling in front of the Xbox Cloud. Oh, shit!
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
Those BLACKNUT Cloud is in their face. Oh, shit!
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
BLACKNUT be dangling hairy balls and all in Xbox. XCLOUD looking up at BLACKNUT.
I can go directly
Oh,
to
man.
BLACKNUT.
We keep going. We keep going. How are those BLACKNUTs, Xbox?
When we launched Game Pass, some people freaked out.
BLACKNUT is superior. We knew it.
Destroy sales,
Grind this.
make it impossible for
We knew
developers
it.
to make money.
I believed in BLACKNUT.
Devalue games.
I told you. I told you.
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
XCLOUD is looking up at BLACKNUT. You can't write this any better. This is incredible. Incredible news. Incredible news. Grinders, I had to share it today. I told you this was a show not to be missed. I told you. I bet on BLACKNUT. You don't mess with BLACKNUT. I knew they were bigger. Big BLACKNUT in XCLOUD's face.
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
All day would do it. It writes itself, Compost Smurf. Number one right now on the grind scoreboard. There it is. Xbox. How those BLACKNUTs in your face.
I have an exciting life now. Breakfast to go. You're going to love my nuts. Watch this.
BLACKNUT has more games in their service than the XCLOUD that's still in beta for 5 friggin' years. You haven't shut up about Cloud. How the hell is BLACKNUT, Boosteroid, PlayStation, and GeForce have more games and support than your weak-ass XCLOUD? And meanwhile, you guys never shut the fuck up about XCLOUD and the future of Xbox. Phil, how do those BLACKNUTs taste?
I don't know. Like, I'd have to go back and look at the. It's
Incredible. The companies that we don't even talk about Cloud have more games and more presence than your weak-ass Xbox. And tell me why they signed deals with Boosteroid. Tell me why they signed deals with GeForce. Tell me why they're putting their games on PlayStation. Why? Because I'll tell you why. It's because, where is it?
Oh no! We suck again!
They're sucking BLACKNUTs. That's right. They suck. This is not them partnering and bringing their shit to everybody. Nobody wants your shit. Because if they do, you would get the support. Now, grinders, the key here is game availability, growth over time. Look, are the publishers jumping on board with cloud gaming for Xbox? This is the amount of games that support the competing services. Let us compete, they say. Yo, Amazon Luna is below you. Luna is below you. There are more games supported in BLACKNUT, in Boosteroid, PlayStation Cloud, and GeForce are all the way up here. The libraries of supported games in these services. Look. So, Brad, you were saying like, oh, we're bringing games to GeForce. Yeah, you want to know why? Because nobody's bringing games to you. Like I said, they're a friggin' leech. They just want to leech. And by the way, nobody made a deal with BLACKNUT. That's the reason why I always champion BLACKNUT. Because they made a deal with Boosteroid and left BLACKNUT in the dust, hanging in the wind. But guess who's laughing now? BLACKNUT be dangling in your face.
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
That's right. BLACKNUT Cloud, man. That's right. You gave it to him. More games. And it's not even by a little bit. Look at this. It is like 150 games more. And BLACKNUT, Boosteroid got over 1,000. PlayStation got over 2,000. And GeForce has the most over there. Like, look at this. Incredible. Dude, when I saw this thing, I go, the grinders need to see this. Not sponsored by BLACKNUT, but man, shout out to them. Good job. Dangle that shit in their face because they suck.
gaming.
They're not no Dalai Lama handing out free. Oh, we're giving it to everyone. You're giving shit because nobody's coming to your house. So you're out there soliciting your ass, knocking on people's doors saying, please, please, sir, please. Luna, look at this. Look at their company right here. Luna and X, look at them. And what does Phil say? I want to be a publisher. I want to be a service that people choose. This is how many games are in the service. That means that publishers have to want to put their games there. And who are they believing in? And if we knew 2 years ago that NVIDIA had 25 million, how many people you think are subscribed to XCloud? That's what I mean. They had to buy. And you want to know what's crazy? Is I bet you this little increase right here is probably all the publishers they purchased, right? The 2000, look at this little increase. 2024, yeah, the growth is right here because, yeah, this bump right here, I bet you is like, they're going to say, stop putting Call of Duty and shit in there. Listen, look at this flat line. And look at PlayStation. They went from this to this growing and then shot up to here. Look at the steady growth of GeForce. Look at the growth of Boosteroid. Look at the growth of BLACKNUT. Like, look at the growth and look at XCloud. It went down. Like, it was like down. And look how slow it's moving up. Like, it is almost flatline. If you look at XCloud, everybody else is growing. And XCloud has been almost flatlining. And then eventually they got some games here. It's because they bought $80 billion of publishers. Nobody was and that's the reason why nobody wanted to put their shit in there. And the other problem is that nobody still is going to put their shit in there. That's why they have now sold out and put their stuff in GeForce, and the next place is going to be PlayStation. I'm telling you right now. Why do you think all those games are natively supported? They're not going to put XCloud. They're not going to put Game Pass and XCloud on PlayStation. Sony won't allow it. Instead, what they're going to do is they're probably going to incorporate, once they have enough games in there, you're going to see like Janky Jones. You're going to see Forza. You're going to see these games start showing up on PlayStation Essentials, like the monthly games or the PlayStation Cloud streaming. That's what you're going to see. Hell, I think you could even stream their games. But they're going to incorporate their games in PlayStation services because they need part of that market share. Because what do you think happens? Oh, wow, you got 2,500 games in there? Wow, okay, well, that sounds like a big service. I'm going to put my shit in there. And there you go. And I know, Sony's been doing cloud for years. If you go back to PlayStation Now and all that other stuff, they had a bigger library before xCloud. But look at that. Craziness. And they're the ones they talk the most. And look how insignificant they are. And tell me why they begged to spend $80 billion. Crazy, right, Grinders? Crazy. And then we go over here. This is what happened after they spent $80 billion. Shout out to Oliver Darko. Here they go after spend $80 billion. Really listen to this. This is after they spent the money.
And really for, gaming it at Microsoft, when we look at what we've done the last 10 years and where we're going, we think a lot about the cross-platform play, which is I want to play on all the devices that I have and all the screens that I have. And I think that's really when I think it's the sort of holistic lens is how do I make sure that we're on Xboxes and I'll say PlayStations and Nintendo Switches in a mobile landscape? How are we on mobile? And that's really maybe last.
And that line right there, they denied and they go, oh, he's just talking about Activision games. No, he wasn't. He's the money man for Phil Ness. No, he wasn't. And I remember when he said that, everybody's like, oh, he's just saying Activision. He's just talking about Call of Duty. He's not talking about the whole slate. And guess what happened? Valentine's Day Massacre happened. Just 4 games happened after this conversation. Booty gave him that coffee. That's booty coffee Phil got right there. That's right. Down with BLACKNUT better than XCloud. Hell yeah. Shout out to the BLACKNUTs.
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
Shout out. There's my lady right there. Excellent demo she did. Dude, Jack, it's incredible. We've fully covered BLACKNUT on this channel. We went to their website. We went to their demo. That's where our wonderful lady.
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
No, Ryan, that is booty coffee. That's Booty's coffee. But anyway, after he said this, everybody thought it was just Activision games. But he was talking about the whole slate. And when you look at how bad their console has sold, when you look at how many games are available on xCloud, when you look at how bad their Xbox store is on PC compared to Steam, even compared to Epic, this whole we're bringing our games everywhere, it's like, dude, nobody wants what you're selling. That's why they're not coming to you. And that's the essence to the whole more games on more places. Because the games that they bought a whole bunch of publishers when they could have cut out and they shut down their studios. They could have took a hike and left. Instead, they doubled down and bought studios because they wanted to funnel and fuel Game Pass. Then, after that, they started buying publishers because the studios were not pumping out enough. So they bought ZeniMax to fill up Game Pass. Then they spent $80 billion on Call of Duty. So what they did was they bought so much inventory. And it's like owning a storefront of cupcakes. Think about you guys own the Grindhouse cupcakes. You go buy all the flour, you spent $80 billion on flour, on icing, on sprinkles, on filling. And you got this storefront called Phil Nest Cupcakes. Well, I'm not putting my name on there. Phil Nest Cupcakes. He spent $80 billion in product. And nobody's coming to the door. You got like one dude coming in who has a podcast. One dude that bleeds green in their podcast. And he goes in this. And another guy who fans on X. And you got a few people coming on there and say, we believe in your cupcakes, Phil Ness. We believe in your cupcakes. But that's not enough. It's not enough to have those people coming in your store because you got all this product. You got all these games, all this product, and just a few dudes coming into your store is not enough. But you spent all this money. How are you going to make that back? You got to start bringing your cupcakes to the place down the street that's banging on the corner that has a line out the door. You got to bring your cupcakes online, not using your website because nobody cares about your Phil Ness cupcakes, but put it on an Amazon website. You got to put it where people are. You got to put your cupcakes in front of other people's storefronts because nobody's coming to you. And that's the problem here. They look at it as we're bringing more games to... No, it's because your games are not selling on your shit. That's why you need to bring games to other places where people are buying and people are sending and spending money and subscribing and purchasing hardware and accessories, and who are people who really care about gaming and who really game, because nobody's gaming on your shit. That's why you need to bring your games everywhere, because nobody's coming to your store. And that's the answer. They keep turning this around. It's like, we're doing the God's work. We're doing gaming God's work, bringing games to everyone. You're not bringing shit. You're bringing games that nobody cares about. Go ask Doom how much it sold. How did Avowed move the needle? Janky Jones, still janking. Juicy.
The buried treasure is gemstones of juicy glazed blackberries, raspberries.
Like, people buy it, but nobody's moving earth and water to buy this thing. You're not bringing the tablets down and thinking that you're God's gift to gaming. You're not. Because nobody's coming to you. If you had good shit like Switch, people will break down walls to play those games, and they will come to your platform. You knew that with Halo. When Halo was good. And Gears, you knew that those are what people came for. But you don't do it. You wore those games out. You didn't produce quality, and people left and gamed on other devices. Now, you're in a situation where you go spend a bunch of money and you have nowhere to sell this stuff. Now you got to put your games on PlayStations and Switches. So it's not you're moving gaming forward. You are trying to make your money back from all the foolish that you spent foolishly and overspent on stuff that is not moving the needle to how fast you need it to move. And the pressures came on the money guy, this guy on the left, Mr. Baldy, Tim Stewart's. He's like, yo, he talks to Amy in the Hood. And Amy in the Hood says, we need our money and we need it now, Phil. And Phil Spencer's like, uh-oh. Phil Spencer, what do you guys say?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I
don't know. And now, Josh, right. Now Call of Duty goes up to $80 this month. How's that going to cook? And last year's Call of Duty still getting complaints. Microsoft didn't make Call of Duty better. And this Call of Duty supposedly brings wall running back. That's going to cause a huge fiasco. And at $80. You think people know what they're going to do? They're going to subscribe to Game Pass. They're going to check it out. They'll get some big numbers in the month, and it'll fade off, and they'll have to bundle it again.
Where we're going in this business is that expansion of operating leverage. Where we think about placing our bets, first party, subscriptions, advertising, those are all high margin businesses that we want to expand into. And what you'll hear from us more and more is a bit of a change of strategy. And again, not announcing anything broadly here, but our mission is to bring our first party experiences, our subscription services, to every screen that can take that can play a game. That means smart TVs. That means mobile devices. That means what we would have thought as competitors in the past, like PlayStation and Nintendo. Right. We're going to NVIDIA, GeForce Now, their gaming subscription service. I know you have Colette, I think, on tomorrow. You can talk to her about that. But when we think about taking our businesses to these endpoints, again, it's that high margin business to new gamers.
And there you go. That's exactly what they did. And 2 months later was the just 4 games. And now, where are we? It's coming. It's all coming. And PlayStation Call of Duty bundles. Their strategy changed because they spent so much money and they needed to bring it to other places. And then, shout out to the Grinders here. Sent me a DM. Breaking news, Grinders. Hit that like button. We got breaking news here. Oh, and by the way, you know what? Let's do a little intermission here. I got a little intermission because, here before, a little intermission because, I thought I'll just cover this here because I'm the only one that seems to ask, but I guess I heard it somewhere else. Where is WUKONG?
Ron, where are you? Where is Ron right now?
Where is WUKONG? I asked where it is. Anybody talking about where WUKONG is? And I remember that it was because of a Sony exclusive money-hatting deal, keeping it off. Oh, bad Sony doing bad things. Well, let's find out. Somebody did ask the question. Maybe a grinder asked the question, where's WUKONG?
All right, what do you want to talk about, Jez? What do you want to talk about? You know what? I'll read some of these super chats first before we move on. Talk about everything else. We got Yabber with the 5 says, WUKONG Xbox when, Jez Habibi? WUKONG, BLACKNUT WUKONG.
I don't see WUKONG coming. It's the balls in the last year. The balls in Game Science's court. Microsoft was just like, well, do it or don't do it. Pretty much. They're not going to budge on there being an Xbox Series S version. They developed the game without the Series S in mind. Now they can't do the back port, and that's pretty much it. I think that's the end of the story. So unless they want to do the port to the Xbox Series S, it's not going to happen. Pretty much.
Interesting.
Really? So the Xbox Series S, they don't want to do the port because they didn't build it with the Series S in mind. That's right. Let's read those super chats. Did I read them? Yeah, I got them all. Interista with the 1 VIP. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate it. Giving it forward. There you go, man. Thank you. Giving that VIP love. Let's add it to our VIPs list. There we go. Let's add it to the VIPs. We're on our way to another song. Here we go. Oh. So what happened? That don't sound like a PlayStation problem. That sounds like a Series S booster problem.
Interesting how that whole game went through the whole cycle of being announced for everything and then just being a PlayStation game to then not needing Xbox at all because they sold 25 million copies and then being like, yeah, we're not going to make the Xbox Series S version. And they're like, well, so the game doesn't come to Xbox.
There you go. Guess what happened? They released it on the primary platforms where games sell. And it sold 25 million. They made 25 million, whatever they sold. And now they're like, we're not porting this thing to the Series S. You either drop that shit because we didn't make this game in mind. What happened to the exclusivity deal? I remember them all running around about money hatting. I didn't hear Sony in any of that stuff. Why is it now the ball's in their court, but they don't want to make a Series S version? So it sounds like the weak ass S, which was the initial problem, the same problem that we had with Baldur's Gate, the weak ass S delaying stuff. And guess what? They don't need it because the install base is so small and they are self-sabotaging it, dude. Who wants to build for a platform that's dead? That even their own manufacturer of Xbox won't even bundle or even give life and increase the price. I wouldn't build a game for that weak ass shit. If my game wasn't, why would I waste my time? And they increased the price of it. It's not going to sell. It's sold already. They made their money. Xbox is small change, waste of change. And it's because of the weak ass S that they will not drop.
I want to talk about. You know what? I'll get
right there.
Get some of these super chats.
Where's that money hat? Don't sound like a money hat to me.
Talk about everything else. We got.
I want to hear it again.
What the 5 says. Wukong Xbox when, Jez Habibi? Wukong. BLACKNUT Wukong.
I don't see Wukong coming. It's the balls in the last year. The balls in game science's court. Microsoft was just like, well, do it or don't do it. You know, pretty much. They're not going to budge on there being an Xbox Series S version. They developed the game without the Series S in mind. Now they can't do the back port, and that's pretty much it. I think that's the end of the story. So unless they want to do the port to the Xbox Series S, it's not going to happen. Pretty much.
Oh, there you go. So I guess another false narrative about the money hatting. It sounds like a blatant old Xbox.
Skip. Go for son. Skip. Yeah. But skip. Where you go? Skip. We skip. Simple as that. Skip.
Incredible. John Wayne, that's right. That's right, John. They have been swallowed. That's right. They have been swallowed.
Oh no! We suck again.
Yep, they have been. That's them.
I would have been swallowed up. Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelming and you...
Yeah, well, let's swallow again. And now for the bonus update that I'm sure you're going to see break the internet. The Xbox handheld that they were hyping up so much. And then it turned out to be the Asus ROG 2. But there's some Xbox handheld in the future that was going to save gaming. Boomstick was in the broom closet. Can't wait to celebrate it. Well, yeah. Xbox dedicated handheld has been sidelined for now. Focus is on just doing a Windows 11 handheld with third-party partners, according to Windows Central. The next X-Gen Xbox is still in development. Oh, yeah. Yeah, just like the handheld was development. So you mean Project Bullshit got nixed. Dude, thing wasn't even announced. Phil teasing the shit out of it. Grand opening, grand closing. Shout out to Puerto Rock. There you go. It wasn't even a Dude, this Xbox handheld
for 6 years
never was.
I taught you how to go for the W. You could have been one of the greats. And now look at yourself. You're not even a has-been. You're a never was.
Dude, Steam OS got them shaking in their boots right now. So now all they're going to do, so there's no, what Xbox? Like, that's what I mean. What, Phil?
Where that box is in.
Well, no box in a handheld. So Xbox handheld ambitions continue unabated, but the focus is shifting towards improving Windows 11 for third-party handhelds for now. Oh, you mean Mr. I Think? Oh, that's what you mean, Mr. Gaming Gandalf.
Xbox Gandalf says, thou shalt not. I think.
Yeah, Mr. I Think. Where is he? Where is he? You know, the vice president of Next Gen. There he is. Still thinking. Now, obviously, it sounds like he's still thinking. So he's still thinking. He's back. He's back. He's still thinking. They got to fix Windows because Windows sucks on handhelds. And SteamOS now is eating their lunch. Reported that they're working on a handheld along the Series X successor. Dude, yeah, whatever. Pembroke, the code name. Microsoft still wants to build its own handheld in the future, but Microsoft has decided to prioritize to improve Windows 11, specifically for devices like Asus. Yeah, you want to know why? Because Asus just is seeing how good SteamOS is running on Lenovo, and I bet you the OEMs are putting pressure on Windows going, yo, everybody's complaining of, like, Windows is the problem to our hardware. We're spending this money and innovating on hardware and making the ROG and making the Legion Go and doing this stuff, and then we slap on your software and it just destroys performance and battery. We can't put in any bigger batteries. We're at 90 watts or whatever the hell it is. But then we put SteamOS on these devices, and we're getting better battery life, almost 2 hours more. We're getting better performance, and the games run better because they don't have the backlog, the back end of bullshit of Windows. So I bet you the OEMs now are putting pressure on Microsoft going, SteamOS is eating your ass for lunch. And Microsoft's like, okay, all hands on deck. We need to make Windows better because the OEMs are pushing back. And now, that's exactly what's happening. Blow-ass Windows. Exactly, Ryan. That's what's happening. I am sure. And there you go. Project Keen. It says it's possible that the existential threat of the SteamOS, which on paper delivers better, all right, bootleg, no. Handheld Legion Go is showing physically that it's doing it. Our sources indicated that Microsoft's still deeply invested in developing its own handheld in the future, which I am sure they want to do Windows on ARM, which is probably not even ready because Windows on ARM sucks right now, and they need to pump out more surfaces because Windows on ARM is not doing anything. But it's announced internally today that priorities are moving deeply towards third-party OEMs. I'm telling you, it's the pressure of SteamOS. Why? Because they're about to all launch their Zen 2 hardware later this year in these handhelds, and SteamOS is cooking Windows with the same hardware. And like I just said this on Monday. What would I just brought people in the chat? I was like, if you are Lenovo and you put out the same exact hardware, resolutions, batteries, and everything, and all you do is put an operating system on. One is SteamOS, one is Windows 11, and this SteamOS is making your hardware, the same hardware, look and play better and last longer, and Windows is giving you bad numbers, and SteamOS is cheaper. Which one are you going to want to make, and which one is going to probably sell? The Steam version. Xbox is screwed. Microsoft is screwed. Whatever future Xbox has, I said it's a vestigial Xbox app. They are doomed. And if this shit is not writing on the wall, then you are glazed. That's all I gotta say. Keep glazing. It'll come around. It'll come around. Keep glazing. The future. I remember just 2 months ago, they couldn't get the word handheld out of their mouth. Then all of a sudden, the handheld turned out to be an Asus ROG Ally 2 with an Xbox button, and they all shut up. Now, their own hardware, which was slated for 2027, is now canned. because they got to fix their shit. And I told you, they got a whole bunch of stuff more to do, not just putting the Xbox app up front. They need to inherently make Windows a mobile operating system for handhelds and laptops. And have they fixed Windows on laptops? No. Have they made Windows for touchscreens? No. All they do is throw a lipstick on a pig. Touchpads over Windows buttons. They tried doing an iPad version of a Windows. It sucked. Nobody wanted it. Called Windows 8. And they went right back. And now we got double apps. We got OneNote app and we got OneNote, the other 365 version. We got Outlook New and Outlook Old. We got two different versions of applications now because they don't know which way to go. Cortana still lives on my computer in Windows 11. You still find Groove Music, Cortana, Mixed Reality is still there. Dead apps. That's what Xbox app is going to be in another few years. I'm telling you. This is what they do. And maybe these diehard Xbox fans who didn't know Microsoft believe that Xbox will be immune to this. But ever since Stutter and Satya took over, dude, it's done. Windows is Xbox. Xbox is nothing now. It's an app. It's Windows gaming. And they're going to milk the shit out of it until it doesn't benefit them anymore. And they're going to sell off all the assets that they just purchased. That's what they're going to do. And I'm telling you, this Xbox handheld that was going to save them 3 months ago, they couldn't shut up about it. It's nixed. The AI pilot button repurposed in 6 months to be something else because people didn't like it. Tell me how AI is going to fix them. This is what they do. This is what they do. And now, that dusty old hair. This is what it is. A ROG Ally with an Xbox button, which people already do not like the design. Now I'm going to tell you, this thing's going to cost about $1,000 at least, maybe $900 at that price point. So,
You're
tell
my
me
number
now.
one customer.
Project Keenan, is that no next-gen Xbox does not run on ARM? It was always a bit unclear. Microsoft's handheld was designed to be native Windows or a native Xbox console experience. Dude, they don't have either. They don't have a native Windows handheld, and they don't have native Xbox experience yet. Project sidelined. That's right. Project never happening. It seems that we indeed meant to be a new device that could run full Xbox games, but Microsoft has decided to prioritize its teams. And that's another problem, Grinders. The problem is that's why everybody was excited for an Xbox handheld, because they wanted to take their games from their library on the go. If it's a PC, it does not play all your Xbox games. That's why they were hoping. That's why they were disappointed when they found out it's just a ROG Ally with a PC, because PC does not play your library of Xbox games. They only play the Play Anywhere ones and the ones they put in the store or on Steam. That's it. But the legacy of Xbox, the 360 games, all those games that you purchased for all those years that live on Xbox console, don't work on this. And they were hoping that an Xbox handheld would bring all those games with them so that they can migrate. So, for now, he's been told that Microsoft still has big ambitions and investing heavily to deliver a native Xbox handheld. But ambitions, please. It's because they need their money and they need it now. And developing their own hardware, this is the beginning of the end. They're going to pull back. Their ambitions are there, but probably due to the success of how the handhelds would do. So they're probably going to use the ROG and the Xbox branding on these handhelds to see if that stimulates that group. But if it doesn't, then they're nixing native hardware. And now, this is this should worry people in the sense that they are holding off on making their own hardware. So when do we hear the next Xbox hardware is being shelved as well, and they're going to use OEMs to make basically console-fied PCs? However, I do think that they may need to do some sort of like basically an example, like how they done with Surface, like a basically sort of like an MO of a reference console of like, this is what we would like you to do with Windows on a console-fied version with the app. Now OEMs, you go do it. But this is it. See, they don't realize that an Xbox branded handheld, an Xbox native hardware, Microsoft gaming needs to begin with Microsoft gaming hardware. It's not going to function as some sort of sticker on somebody else's console. And they have done nothing, like I said before, in branding these IPs that they spent $80 billion on to try to grow this. They haven't. And there you go. This is it, man. I just said this before this article even came out. I said all this stuff. So the new cloud platform. So they're working on, Microsoft is also working on next gen Xbox cloud systems, which are now being tested. I told you they are taking the cloud off of Xbox Series consoles. Right now, the cloud runs on Series X's. So they are now moving this now to probably run on PCs because they are done with Xbox hardware. I told you. Another indication. They are moving away from their own custom hardware. They are trying to leech off of OEMs and have other people do their job. And they will just tack on their software because they are Microsoft. That's why they are soft. They are not getting in this business. They are done. They are soft. They are trying to make other people do it. So now they want next gen. They're taking the cloud off of Series X. Grinders, this is it. This is it. Because remember what I said before. I said if the developers do not make games for Xbox Series consoles, they do not make games for xCloud. Because xCloud powers their cloud. Well, here's the answer. They are making new hardware for their cloud, which means exactly increase the price of the hardware because we are out. Series consoles are on their sunset. And that should be an indication right there. Grindadamas says probably by next year, we're going to hear how production of Series consoles are slowed down. The hardware is done. They increase the price. They're going to sell what they're going to sell. And I bet you by next year, we start hearing Project Bullshit. And it's going to be a Xbox branded PC. And there you go. Because they are moving the cloud off of Series X. So tell me, that's it. I told you. I said exactly what's going to happen. I said that the Series X is power to cloud. They lose the dev support. They lose the cloud. But if they turn those console servers into PCs, boom. Now they have, just like NVIDIA Cloud, they have access now to PCs running it. The Xbox console is done. Its purpose is over. There you go. Now, if it doesn't power the cloud, they don't need to sell it, and Microsoft has gone soft.
There's only one word to describe you, and I'm gonna spell it out for you. S-A-W-F-T.
And that's it, man. It's done. Phil, you have anything to say about this plan?
I don't know. Like, I'd have to go back and look at the...
So I assume it's going to have some company. So there you go. The new cloud platform should bring it latency closer in parity to NVIDIA's GeForce Now service, which is the best leader right now. And we've already seen how NVIDIA is cooking. So there you go. So already Microsoft Cloud is moving. You already see how Microsoft Cloud is doing. So, yeah. I think you need some more games, Xbox. Xbox Cloud, you down here. Well, you need about another 2,000 more games. All right? Well, good job. GeForce Now just launched its native app for Steam Deck as well, presenting another competitor to Microsoft's cloud strategy. Huh? Yeah, but guess what? Didn't we just listen to Brad in the beginning champion that he's bringing his games to GeForce Now? This is what I mean, grinders. This is what I mean. They champion GeForce Now and bringing their games to it 2 years ago. And now their competition for their cloud strategy, and you can see Microsoft is looking right up at BLACKNUT in their face.
I can go directly to BLACKNUT.
That's where they are, dangling in front of their face. They gave all their games on XCloud to GeForce, and GeForce gets, and this is the strategy that I don't understand. People say, oh, PlayStation's getting Xbox games and they're winning. Xbox is winning. Dude, they're not. Because PlayStation's getting their games and their exclusive games and third-party games and your games. It's all inclusive, bitch. GeForce Now is getting Xbox games, Activision games, ZeniMax games, and everybody else's games. It's all you can eat, bitch. What games you getting? Not Wukong. You're getting skipped. You are getting skipped and BLACKNUT in your face. That's what's happening. So everybody's going to be eating good up here because you're feeding the beast. Nobody coming down to your level. And now everybody's doing better than you. You couldn't shut up about cloud and 4G, and now NVIDIA GeForce launched on the Steam Deck. More competition for you. Well, they got your games, bitch, too. They got your games. GeForce got all your games, so what matters if you go, oh, guys, we got an xCloud app, too. Who gives a shit? GeForce got your games. You have nothing unique. You have nothing you're bringing to the table. And since you weren't first, you're last. And nobody buys their games either, Kevin George. Exactly. So they're up Schitt's Creek, Booty Creek without a paddle. That's what they are. Handhelds are the, and look at this article. Handhelds are the future. Microsoft is investing to ensure it won't get left behind. Dude, they already are behind. And on top of that, the fact that this console now, this Xbox handheld has been benched. You know what that allows? That allows the market to grow and grow and grow. And the market turns into, what does it turn into, Brad? Show everybody. That handheld market grows and grows and becomes blue PACMAN. And Microsoft becomes a sliver of the cake when it comes time for them to say, oh, guys, and we have an Xbox handheld. It's like, dude, who? Who are you? We got ROG cooking. PlayStation may have a handheld. We got the Switch. We got Steam cooking. Who are you? Who this? Who you?
Where are you? Where is Ron right now?
Who, where are you? So you shelving that. You just let the market, handheld market grow. And guess what? Windows is the Achilles heel to that market. People don't want Windows. You look at the sales of a PlayStation Portal. Sony going to cook from that. You look at how the Switch sold and what the Switch 2 is going to do next week. You go look what SteamOS is doing, and it's favoring the OEMs. Windows is the Achilles heel to handhelds, and you got to rebrand, and you need to restructure that whole entire thing. Not offer Office 365 when I boot up a friggin' 7-inch screen with a handheld, and I have to hit touchscreen to say decline. I don't want Office on this shit. This is a gaming handheld. Don't want it. What's up, Thrifty? How you doing, man? People don't want Windows. It eats up the battery. It's so many background processes. You get all this shit installed, you got to uninstall it. Office 365, OneNote, OneDrive. Who? Let me play a game, bitch. Nobody wants it now. Who's going to want it whenever this shit comes out? And guess what? Windows will be irrelevant on handhelds, and Xbox will be out the door. And this market will grow and flourish with Switch, with SteamOS, and PlayStation. And we're right back to Blue Pac-Man. And what was that again, Brad?
To NVIDIA's GeForce. And what we have done, and it plays.
What was that again? Well, let's hear those numbers again, because you don't share numbers, but I like these numbers.
In fact, they already reach Chromebooks. They are users, has more than 25 million users. In fact,
right, we'll go over that thing again. You can give a little clarity on what that thing is.
Has 20% share.
Well, the numbers.
Globally, it's about 70-30. In Japan, it's 96-4. And while there are some fluctuations over time, these numbers have been remarkably steady for 2 decades. Even last year, when Sony suffered constraints in its supply chain and it saw its numbers dip, they came back strong in the fourth quarter as their supply chain recovered. By our calculation on a global basis, Sony outsold Microsoft in the fourth quarter by a margin of 69-31, pretty much consistent with the global market shares we've seen for 20 years. Sony, like the regulators, has an alternative as well. It can either do a deal with Microsoft or argue that this deal should be blocked. We understand in some ways it can be tempting when you have an 80% share to just hope that the future never arrives, to hold on as long as possible to a current market share, to hope that that future that, as European game developers have said, is cross-platform, doesn't come until a later date. But I don't think that's what regulators are in the business of doing. They're not here to protect super dominant companies. Believe me, I know.
ET better move over. Xbox says make some room. It's coming. Bury Xbox in the ET hole. Bury Xbox in the ET hole.
Man. Bury it. Well, grinders, there you go. And there's a face of somebody you can trust right there. He is done cooked. But it sounds like the market will just grow and move on, and Xbox and Microsoft will be just like I said about the VR market. MetaQuest, they're there. People make games. There are games available, options, choices. Microsoft made a choice not to give you VR, not to give you a streaming handheld from them. See, that was the thing with the Portal. Yes, the phone can do it, but the Portal has the controller features on the go. So there was something unique. And now with the streaming to it, with the cloud, that's more unique and adds to your subscription. That's what happens when you have first party making first party hardware and not this farmed out shit that this clown wants to do. Oh, just make everybody else take the loss. Let Asus, you know what happens to quality? It's already down. So grinders, hit that like button. We're cooking today. Oh, and there's more cooking. We didn't even get to what we needed to cook on. This was the appetizer. And a big appetizer it was. So don't get filled up on this content because more Gaming Grindhouse is coming your way. So hit that like button, subscribe. We didn't hit our goal, but I'm going to give you a going away tune to wrap up this evening's show. Hit that like button, grinders. Subscribe if you're new. If you got a membership, thank them. Pay it forward. Use the VIPs. We're going to be doing some VIP streaming. Helldivers 2, I'm coming your way. And we're going to be doing some of that as well. Grinders, hit that like button, and here's a little tune for you to go with. Good night.
Xbox can't compete as they are getting washed in console, crushed in cloud, and now smashed with PC handhelds. Oh no, they suck again.
Shout out to Iconic Tunes with the 5. He says, let's get the new tune. Well, here's the new one for you, baby. A little appetizer. The full production will hit on the next show if we get the goals.
Make it impossible for developers to make money, and devalue games.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'd have to go back and look at